On this episode, we explore the evolution of man, but not just any man, my friend and peer Paul Anthony. Now you're asking yourself, this guy has two first names? Yes, he does, and he fills the shoes of both of them. As long as I've known Paul, he's been 100% authentically himself. But to maintain that 100% authenticity, he's had to evolve, expand, learn, and grow, constantly correcting course to maintain his authentic self. And that's not the guy I met, nor should it be, because becoming the best version of yourself should be something that constantly adapts in the time and place you're in. We also talk about how it's okay for your friends to lie to you if they think you'll keep you safe. Let's jump in.
Hey everybody, this is a moderately good podcast. I am your host, Scotty. And before we get started, couple quick shout outs. Shout out to Above Average Joe. He does all my videos and pictures and stuff, and the cool videos and the stupid videos and everything that looks cool and cool pictures. That's what Joe does. My guy Jaron, under the at No Name Originals on Instagram. He's a bleacher and custom clother extraordinaire. You got to check out his stuff. It's really cool. I wear some of his stuff on the podcast, so you'll see it kind of every once in a while. And then last but not least, my guy Mo. He has the Go Bubble app. If I'm not mistaken, it's like Go Bubble _app. I know we all hate that. We all want the names we want, but some of us have to suffer around periods and underscores and dashes and then just changing words and just picking a whole different Instagram. But he decided on Go Bubble app, and it's Go Bubble _app. It's a detailing service to your house. So it's like Uber for your car cleaning. I mean, who's not gonna do that? So my guest tonight, I'm super excited about having him here. How long we known each other? 20 years?
Going on 20 years, man.
This is my guy, Paul Anthony. Paul, say hi.
What's going on?
Hey, and I love this guy. I love this guy loves the camera. I love that. I love this is what I was thinking about today.
Okay.
As long as I've known you, you have 100% been yourself.
As far as I know.
As authentic as you could be as a person.
It's all we can do, man.
But it's so admiring, right? Like, because I was thinking, like we were talking about this right before we started that, I wear some crazy clothes. Paul has been known to wear some crazy clothes, and like guys are, like, we make fun of each other and stupid stuff like that. But like really, like Paul, like just didn't care. I don't know. Did you care? Did you care that we picked on you?
I've got extra stories before you met me about the same type of commentary you're making now.
Hey, fire away. You take over.
So, most of the stuff I wear when I was a kid was just really trying to connect with somebody,
like through, like they like, hey, I like your shoes,
like,
kind of
hey,
thing.
Look at me, look what's going on. I got brought up and I was supposed to be the man of the house, at like 5 years old. My dad took off.
So it was just,
and I think it was me creating an identity without someone showing me what a man could be, or, asking me those questions that maybe would guide someone to understanding themselves better.
So do you think, so it was your mom, your sister, and you?
Yeah. And my aunt and my grandma.
Okay. So it's
all females and one
right.
man.
So all females, no man. You're the only man.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's a product of your environment, kind of, right?
Yeah. And
because I have a similar, like I spent a lot of time with my mom as a kid, and my mom was into clothes and looking nice and stuff like that. So that's where I picked that up from. So it's interesting that you say that.
Okay.
Anyways, so hey, this is Paul. I'll make sure I said this is Paul. We jumped into that really fast. But so where did you find your male role models? Like, what were your male role models like as a kid?
I had one, and I didn't necessarily probably appreciate it as much, which was my uncle, very soft spoken. but very hardworking. And I think I picked up off of his desire to help people or necessity to help people without having to really question why, because it was family.
Right.
You know, we need you to do this. And he would just do it. And I'd look at him and I'm like, this guy's tired. He's been working for, 10 hours a day as a mechanic, and he doesn't even question why someone needs his help. He just does it, and I probably didn't pick that up until much later.
I mean, I feel like I just picked that up last week.
Yeah.
The concept of that.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Like without even.
Was he a happy dude? Was he a happy dude?
I think so.
I mean, did he appear to be happy?
He never.
Did he complain?
No. He never really complained. That's the thing. And he knew how to do a lot. And most of it was the things that would require like a mechanical advantage, engineering, things that he could put together that even I can't do now.
Right.
Your car breaks down or something in your house doesn't work. Those types of things that would require someone that had an expertise in it to come by.
Right.
And you could just call on him. It didn't matter. He would take apart my Mustang in '84, 20th anniversary. It was like an amazing vehicle. And he would take the whole engine out of the car. We did it several times. And there would always be like 2 or 3 extra pieces in a box at the end. And I'm like, hey man, don't we need this? And he just like wave it off like it's no big deal. And I'm like, all right, well, if you say so, and sure enough, he could take an entire engine out and all these pieces. And I would say like, could we allocate these in a certain place? And he would look at me like, you don't know what you're doing. Just put them all in the one box. And I'm like, that is not like, this is going to go wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sure enough, he'd be able to look in the box, pick out the item and put it exactly where, and I mean, maybe now if I studied it, I might be able to figure out, but it took me years. And for him, it was like second nature. It was like reaching in and picking a bag of Legos and he already made that set. He's like, it's child's play to me.
So what do you think about this concept? I was actually thinking about this today. And it was actually a conversation I had with someone. Is it possible that we all could be savants in something, but sometimes you hit it or you don't, right? Does that make sense? Like, do you find that thing that you're that passionate about that you want to be a savant in?
You touched on a word that I think gets overused.
What do you mean?
Passion.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really feely. I'm like, somebody tells me that they feel passionate about it and they could do it 6 months into it. I'm like, you don't know. I think you got to do it, and it's got to be hard as shit for like 10 years before you can tell me that it's a passion. I see no proof. Like, you're happy, you're blowing up a balloon and it looks really cute, and it's, you tie it up and you hand it to somebody. Here's my passion. It's like, you haven't put that shit under pressure, bro. You have no fucking idea.
So then, but before you, so Paul, just really quickly, kind of just say what you do now. You can plug anything you want to, like any of your Instagram or whatever, like any, I want people to know what you do for a living before we jump into this next subject. So just go ahead.
Well, I do personal training till about 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock every day. I keep fitness portion of my lifestyle. I've been buying and selling real estate for about the last 4 years. So I added that as a portion. Fortunately, I got to put everything together in a way that kind of made a lifestyle for me. You can go to, I believe, Paul _Anthony _
He didn't
Monje. I have no idea. I'm gonna tell you like that. I don't even keep up with it so much that it matters.
Well, look, I'll tag
PaulMonje.com.
See, there you go.
MONJE is the easiest one, or yieldfitness.com, which I'm sure Scotty will figure out a way to post it up.
I'll tag all this stuff. So I don't know what my Instagram. I don't.
Well, I like the subject you went on.
Okay.
I don't even want to go off of it.
Okay, so
at this point.
You go ahead and proceed, and I'll come with questions later. You keep going.
So you're talking about like people that you look up to. My cousin was probably the closest one, because he was as aggressive as he was. He put up like this kind of wall and defense mechanism to be able to take care of himself. Both of us basically got left by parents very early on.
Was that a cultural like machismo type of thing? Like, do you know what I mean?
Man, maybe so. I mean, he wasn't even first generation American. He became a citizen after the fact. So you could say maybe it was a Hispanic, Latino type of thing. But he's also just like, he's never really
Like a hard head.
Yeah, he's tough, man. He always has been. Football, wrestling, whatever.
Yeah.
Like some people I think are just built that way.
So you
like
think he shaped you a little bit? Is that what you're saying?
I think he slowly started showing me that there's a benefit to having a lot of strength and a lot of the ability to depend on yourself, because I saw it in him. Like he got left all the time after school and nobody would pick him up till 7 p.m. You're talking about a kid that should have been picked up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? You spend 4 hours by yourself. You get pretty hardened, like thinking that your parents aren't going to pick you up. And he would play football,
everything you encounter in the in-between time.
You know, and you're not in like the best of neighborhoods. It's not the worst, you know, but you're on your own.
Yeah.
You know, you got to play football or do whatever you can to keep the time, you know, passing until your parents pick you up. Now, that didn't happen all the time, you know. Parents are real good people. They straightened up after maybe 2 or 3 years that I kind of saw. But in middle school, you know, how old are you in middle school?
8, 9, 10. I don't know, bro.
Junior high. No. You got to be.
Junior high, you're a teenager. So
you're maybe like 15, 16 and freshman, right? You're like 12, 13
okay, well, like a freshman, you're like 14 or 16, 17.
You just barely had a kid.
You're a young kid. How about that? There's people yelling at the radio right now. Like these guys don't know shit about kids. And I have one and you have two. You know what I mean? Anyways, proceed. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So I thought, you know, that kind of did that part of it. But what you said about people having some like innate quality to be able to pick up on something that they might be very good at, I think it's possible. Optimistically, I think it's possible, right? Then I guess, I don't know, what do you think kind of drives that quality out? If people are really innately able to be good at something, what are things that might bring that out? I mean, you talked about a parent. In my case, I think that would help.
I just, you know who Schoolboy Q is?
No.
Okay. He's a rapper. And okay, fuck. I just tweeted this. I turned my phone off. Anyways, he said he had a quote that was something like just do new stuff. Like it's like it's not going to kill you. Like you're only going to grow by doing things. You're only going to grow by failing. You're only going to grow by just like trying shit.
Yeah.
It's and you're never too old. You know what I mean? My mom hadn't flown on a plane since she was 18 years old. And I don't know, 3 or 4 summers ago, we got her to fly to Las Vegas and go to a show. I mean, like, she hadn't flown on a plane since maybe it was like 16 or something like that. Like,
okay.
You know what I mean? And I don't know why, but I don't know if she ever felt comfortable with it. And I just kind of was like, come on, Mom, like, just let's do it. Like, like, you know, and I think she had a great time. If you listen to this, you could tell me, I guess. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like you're never too old to just try to experience something new.
Right.
You know, does that make sense?
Of course. I mean,
like, it's just very important. It's very important for your brain. It's very
neurologically.
Yeah. Like, okay, so you have older clients, right?
Right.
Do you think this statement is true? Your older clients, depression is kind of a funny thing with them. The things they kind of beat themselves up on, and especially once they get older, like it's a different type. They're in a different mindset. And you can kind of see that mindset change, like as they get older. Like you know me from training my client Dave that passed away, right?
Right.
And I started training when he was 79, and he died when he was 91. So I saw this like metamorphosis kind of happen.
You know, but well, the one thing that you're really good at, Scotty, and I'm going to say this because, you know, I've seen you for the past 20 years is, you know, you started working with people that were older far earlier than myself, right? And it could be 4 or 5 years difference, but that's enough when you're talking about working with someone past 80 years old.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a different ballgame.
Yeah, it's a different ballgame. Like the things that become important to us at 40, even at 50, I'm guessing, right? But at 30, you know, you're still not looking at things through a lens that like really has any specificity to it.
I mean, I think a lot of people at 40 still aren't. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think anybody has a lens in general. Probably 70% of the population just like kind of flow. They don't know what they're looking for. They're just maybe trying things like you say, excitedly so, with no idea of whether they'll keep doing it or not, which is a good thing.
Right.
Because like what you said, maybe that kicks off
Something else.
Yeah. That's the exciting part.
You're not going to make no change sitting in your house unless you're emptying out your purse.
Yeah. No,
You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta get out and do stuff. Like my ex-wife, her grandma got remarried like at 82. And I was like, good for you.
Wow.
Got remarried. And
Wow.
met the guy on Christian Mingle. And I was like, hey, whatever works. You know what I mean?
Second marriage.
Yeah, well, her husband had passed away.
Okay, well, we don't know. It could have been 4, could have been 5.
No. Her husband passed away.
Yeah, I mean,
And then she got remarried.
She
And
might
I
have
was
been
like,
trying new things. I don't know
like
that.
she was like, hey, I still have life. You know what I mean?
That's great.
God bless. You know? Anyways.
I don't know if I'd have the energy, bro,
I don't have the energy now.
to do it again.
Like, I mean,
It's a lovely thing now. I'm going to say it like that, but still.
This is what I say this often. If things don't work out with me and Aaron, like I just give up. I just give up. I'll just be like, I'll just hang out because so far.
That tells me that someone's trying as hard as they can now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like somebody could not say what you just said unless they were just like, they didn't give a shit about anything. But if they said that from a place that's a good place, it's look, I'm putting everything I can into it, man.
It's a free fall.
And that's amazing because that's hard.
It's incredibly hard. But like, don't you want to experience the greatest thing ever?
Yeah.
Right?
Even if it's difficult to do.
Even if it's scary as shit. Even if you have to be really vulnerable. Even if you have to have no ego around the horrible things about you that your partner is going to point out.
How long have you been married?
No.
Yes. How long have you been married now?
No, we're not married.
Okay. How long have you been together now?
Well, do you get bonus points for a baby?
Yeah.
Okay. So like,
give me some years.
We're
when you met,
together,
got together,
I guess
baby.
like it's roughly like 2, maybe 3 years or something
Bro,
like that. And then
this is lovely.
3 probably.
This is why you say you're still scared. Give it 10, give it 13. You don't get scared anymore and it'll happen.
But here's the difference, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. I actually knew her 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we all hung out together. Do you remember that?
I may have.
She would come. I think she came to one of the pool parties where T was there and like y'all weren't really dating yet. Y'all were just kind of hanging out.
Wow.
But it was a long time ago.
Wow.
Anyways, the point is, it's not like I've just known her 2 years.
No,
I've known her
totally.
an extremely long time.
Yeah.
So it's like we do have a level of history and understanding where like it makes it, those bumps that you talk about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was thinking about what you said earlier, and I really want to go back to this. When you said, oh, if you didn't been doing this for a couple years and you're like, oh my God, I love it so much or whatever, like you ain't doing it right, kind of. There's something like you ain't got it yet. Like you don't understand it because, right? Would you agree?
About the passion thing.
How long you been training?
20 years since I was 19.
Okay.
I mean, I'm 40 now.
Have you gone through patches where you're just like, man, fuck this job?
No, man.
No?
Never.
Have you ever gone through it? Like, because I have patches where like, and maybe this just says more about the way I train and the type of clients I have, where it's just like, man, like training's heavy for me right now. Like, or it's just like, I need a vacation. I didn't always take a vacation before and stuff like, like I had to go, like, I gotta make sure I take time for myself because I can't give my clients 100% if I only got 50.
Now we're talking about the same thing in that case. It's just a different description.
Okay.
I have to set those times because if I don't, my tendency is to work all the time.
Right.
Right. I mean, hence I have 2 jobs now.
You have to make, for lack of a better word, you have to make moderating your life a priority.
And if it means setting a vacation up ahead of time, right.
But I mean, that's really what I'm saying is like, you're making time for yourself and you're making time for your clients. You're making time for your family.
What I did notice is that if I didn't do that, I actually would self-sabotage a lot earlier.
Yeah.
What would happen is I would you
can't be the best version of yourself, right?
I can't be a version that I'm useful to everyone. I'm only useful to myself.
Right.
And my tendency would be to do so much that I would push people away, even to the point where it was emotionally, so they would leave me alone. And all I really needed to do was set aside time for my family and myself. I didn't have to push everyone away. I just had to go, work isn't the most important thing.
Right.
You know, training isn't the most important thing. Making money isn't the most important thing. You have enough. And you know what? Even if you think you don't have enough, you will. But if you don't do these things, whether it's hanging out with your family, your friends, what's going to happen is you're going to get to a point where you self-sabotage.
Yeah.
One thing that people don't know, and I'm going to say about you now, is Scotty went out of his way.
Hey, this is your pocket. Why are you trying to put me on the spot?
I'm just saying. Scotty went out of his way. Like back in the day when I first came back, one of the first reasons I was back in Austin, right?
So where hang on, where'd you have gone?
So originally I was from El Paso.
No, I know
Came
that.
to Austin.
Right.
Okay. I wasn't going to go anywhere. What I'm saying is I came to Austin and I had been doing a bunch of other things in terms of like business.
So you weren't training at 24 yet?
I was training. I wasn't training at 24 yet.
At 24 yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
So I come to 24.
Really quickly, because that's how me and Paul know each other. That background story, we used to work at 24 together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Training, you know, taking care of people, etc. Working out. Funny stories about you and you making fun of me before you met me, which was awesome. But
Yeah,
we might
but
get there.
I also thought about that today.
That was good.
And that was kind of, it's busting balls a little bit, but there is a part of me that actually feels bad about like, just like you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want you to know, like, I don't know. I think this is what I think. Okay.
You might want to set up the story so they know what you're thinking about.
Oh, well, I'll kind of set it up.
Okay.
So when I say Paul is his like own dude, like whatever he wears, whatever he does, like he's sold on it. Like it's his deal, right? So when Paul was younger, he might have dressed more like, we'll say like Jersey Shore-ish. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment?
Close. I did have a faux hawk.
Yeah.
Red tips.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
I would wear pants with dragons on them.
Yeah. But in retrospect, and this is what I truly believe this, I think I was just intimidated by the person that you were confident, like what I said. You've never been afraid to be yourself. That's what I really like about you. You know, like this is who I am. This is who I am, right? I think when you're that kind of person, that's intimidating to people, and they tend to want to attack you. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do. But I think some of us, you know, internally, because I think
But you can't make it about yourself. It has to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it can't be like,
yeah,
you know, but I never thought about that way until like recently.
I think that maybe sometimes if we see something that's unique to us or to the environment that we're in, that we give it a little bit, shake it just to see what it's made of.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing all the time. Like, yeah, you might be a little judgmental, but I think that we're really pleasantly surprised when that thing turns out to be something that we actually like, okay, that's not what I thought it was. In some cases, you know, like hopefully if it's a pleasant thing. And that took years, honestly, in between you and I, you know, because I was on another end of the spectrum. Like, you had already grown so much. And I was asking questions to myself, like, how do I understand what he understands? You don't know this.
No, I don't know. That's why my face, I'm so confused.
Like, whenever we would go out, right, I would try to drag you out to be able to like go out, period. Because I had just gotten to Austin. I want to go to this new shiny city and see all the lights. You know, I'm coming from a city that's like 500,000. We're talking, you know, huge city at the time, 6th Street, all the stuff that people think about, right? And I'm like, 23. Oh no, I'm 26, right? I'm making money. Let's go. I got a new truck. I got an apartment. I'm living by myself. You know, I know Scotty. I thought of everybody else that I was working with as like, they know more than me, right? Because they live here. They just know that beyond what I do. And so I would always try to go to your place and drag your ass out with our buddy before. And you'd just be like, you know, almost asleep. Be like, what the fuck are y'all doing? You know? No, I don't want to go out. And we would sit there and we would make you laugh or try to, you know.
I think I was probably going through some shit at that point, right?
But still.
Yeah.
But even then, a portion of you probably wanted to forget that too. You know what I mean?
Here's all I have to say about that. Everybody mourns over things and stuff. Like, I mean, you know, loss of girlfriends, loss of loved ones. Like, I mean,
Right.
And I think the period of time you're talking about, like, I think I was having like probably one of the more harder relationship breakups that I had, right?
No doubt.
And in retrospect, looking at that, I realized that like I whatever time that was, I needed that time to finish it. But the faster, like the shorter you can make that time, the harder you work to make that time shorter is the less time you're going to waste. Does that make sense?
The harder you.
So now my thing is when something upsets me to that kind of level, I try to process it and put it away. Not put it away like in hiding it, but go, okay, this is what this is. This is why you feel this way. I try to process it as fast as possible and not waste too much time because time is too valuable now at this point. Like I just hit it like head on. Like I don't like I tell Aaron all the time, like I ain't got time for bullshit.
Yeah.
Like I'm too old. Like this, we have a great opportunity to have a really wonderful life together. Like let's not fuck it up.
Yeah.
By being passive aggressive,
adding all this little trivial stuff.
Adding all this shit you need. We can have a real wonderful life, but you gotta come correct and be honest.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Even when it makes you look like you suck, like you did something really shitty, you gotta go, yep. That was me. I did that shitty thing. I'm really sorry. Like, how do we move this forward? Don't be like trying to deny it. It just doesn't do any good. I don't know how we got to this.
No doubt. But I mean, I'm over at.
Anyways, we were talking about you and meeting me and me not wanting to leave the house, and y'all wanting to go out and party. Sorry.
Well,
yes.
yeah. Well, we tried to get you to go out, and at that point, I just thought, he's got his stuff together. But again, you were just dealing with what you were dealing with.
Yeah.
And it might have been, but I mean, internally, I kind of knew that was the case.
You could feel it probably.
Selfishly, I wanted to take you out. But when I got there and I knew that you were dealing with that, I definitely wanted to get your ass out of the house.
Yeah.
Because that shit's not helpful.
And so the moral of the story is when your friends come up, when you're going through a hard time and your friends come over, let them take you out. That is the best. It's the best. Is it not the best thing you can do?
I think so, man. I think so. As long as they don't have.
It doesn't have to be crazy.
Yeah.
Go to dinner, right? Just go out to a bar. Go, or whatever you do. Go to yoga. I don't know. Just go, but get out and do something, right? Don't bury yourself in your house.
Don't start getting in that negative loop where all you're doing is just thinking about that's going on. So. And
find you like a good friend that has a good ear that'll just listen or pay a therapist. One of the two.
At like 26, that wasn't going to happen, bro. We were all just out. Let's just go. But you know what? They might have come out just in the process of being out there, I think like you say a few things here and there and it's enough to like talk about the fact that your day was shit, and that helps.
I remember a couple of the guys, I don't know if you ever did this with, I think maybe you did. We'd go like work out on a Sunday, like after a Saturday night and just like talk about the night and stuff like that. Do you remember doing that?
I was definitely asleep or working.
Hey, or like,
the tendency was that I would work 7 days a week, man.
Like you stayed out way later than us, so you were probably like just like coming home, and we were like, "Oh, let's go get a workout today and go fuck yourself."
So what ended up happening is basically at one point I came out. I'm in the city. I'm going out a lot, and I'm coming from not drinking at all for like 3 years. I was promoting parties. I was DJing at clubs, but I knew that me doing fitness and DJing wasn't going to mix. Like I was literally, it was like an identity conflict. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I bartended and did fitness. Same thing.
So at some point it like your mind's trying to figure out what you're doing, I think.
Right. Well, you didn't get no sleep.
Right. You're definitely not sleeping the same. Right. And you're trying to pull it all off. So the only way I knew how to do it at that point was not drink at all. Nothing. And I would still go to clubs and they knew it was Diet Coke for Paul all day long, Didn't matter if somebody tried to buy me a drink. So I say that all to come to a point where you made sure that I got home safe, whether you wanted to or not. I called you and I called a buddy of ours, Pat, right? Through Pat's phone. Mm-hmm. And I was walking around. This was probably a couple of years into it, getting into Austin, just going to parties and doing my thing. I couldn't find my car. Could not find my car. And so when that happened, I only knew certain people that would be up, maybe. Right. Because I would go out with you and I'd go out with Pat, maybe Gene. Mm-hmm. And so I call him up. He answers the phone like, "What are you doing?" He knew why I'm calling him that late. Anyway, you and him convinced me to walk around to a parking lot. I had no idea where I was. I walked to like a 4th or 5th story parking lot. Literally, you're convincing a human being.
It was Littlefield parking garage.
To walk all the way to the top of Littlefield parking garage at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's there. There's no more cars. Oh, everybody's gone. Right. And I walk all the way to the top. You guys are talking to me. Pat's talking to me. Maybe you guys are telling me to be quiet and just don't move is what I remember. I lost a sweater is all I remember getting really mad about. Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck the sweater. Stay up there. So I stay up there. I'm looking at the stars and whatnot. And all of a sudden your truck pops up. And if that hadn't been the case, I mean, I probably wouldn't have found my car anyway, but God forbid if that were the case. You know what I mean?
And your car wasn't there.
And my car may have not, and my car was not in the parking lot.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is they knew it wasn't there. They knew where it might have been. You know, you guys knew where it might have been. And then
it was on the street because we drove past it like right outside the parking garage.
Yeah.
And Pat goes, "Hey, isn't that his car?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so."
Yeah. Don't tell him to go there.
Okay. So do you know the other part of that story though?
I don't know.
So you call us and you go, "Hey, are y'all guys downtown?"
Oh, yeah.
And Pat goes, "Hey man," he goes, "This cat's like messed up."
Yeah.
And I go, "Just tell him we're downtown."
Yeah, dude. And I heard you like subconsciously, but I could not remember in that moment if that's what I thought I heard. I'm like, that's not what I heard.
And so I was like, "Just tell him we're downtown." And so Pat stalled you until we could like get downtown.
Dude.
Right?
That was
But
money.
here's what else is crazy about that story. Yeah. I'm pretty positive. I don't know what I'd have to ask. We went out and did something that night before, right?
Yeah.
And they had come home and like gone to bed after going out and doing something.
I think we were hanging out for a little bit at the beginning of the night. Like that? It wasn't anything big, but you guys left early.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
And so then we drove all the way back down. But you know, like, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, that was amazing. But in any case, that leads back to maybe some moderation, the things that I might have been doing at the time. And I think a lot of it was just, if we go back to like clothing, if there's anything that's going to be like a parallel to that is, how do I connect with other people?
Right. You mentioned
I
that in the
came
beginning.
here and I was by myself. And I think maybe at the time, being alone and knowing the only other thing that I was doing to connect with people like I did when I was a kid was just get blitzed, just go out and drink and, smoke some pot and, do things that were not beneficial to me. Right. But I got into that habit a little bit. And then finally I was like, nah, it's not going to work. That's not cutting it. And that was one of those moments that kind of made me really think, I'm taking this to a place where I can't control it, So anyway, what I say is I think that was a pretty cool story about us that I still remember and am very grateful for.
Well,
so, anyway, too deep, too fucking deep.
No. I mean, obviously, like, you're welcome. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I think that I'll just tell you a really quick story. A guy we mutually know. I bought this pair of shoes and they're too small. I bought them the wrong size, but he wears this size. Okay, so I hit him up. We talked about this for the podcast. I've been trying to get him on for like forever, right? Yeah. So I hit him up. I go, "Hey man, I got this pair of shoes. I want to practice cleaning them. They're your size. Do you want them?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, I go, "They're yours." And he goes, "But I want to pay you for them." And I said, "I would just rather have your time. Like I have the money that I need.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I would just rather have your time. Just like come hang out, come do the podcast. You know what I mean? Like at this point in my life, to be able to just have all the things that I need, it's enough. Does that make sense?
It does.
So it's like, now what can I experience? What can I do? Like what can I create? You know what I mean? That's how kind of the podcast kind of exists too,
That's a cool, there's moments when you can do something like that for someone that are more valuable than getting the money.
Well, so like think about it like this. Like all the time, like on the news or like on Twitter or whatever, you see these like, this, like that. I don't know if you saw the video, like this kid, they were running a cross country race and a kid fell down. Another kid picked him up and carried him across the finish line. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So like it was like on the news and it was like he carried him across and they interviewed him on CNN or something, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And like people like retweet it and they're like, look at the video, like, oh, look how amazing this person is, blah, 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 whatever. How many times a day do you think people have an opportunity to be that person
Yeah.
and just go, that'll be somebody else, or I'm not going to help that person, or like you have an opportunity to be one of those stories. Nobody might film it. There'll be no record of it.
Right.
But you have an opportunity to make a change in somebody's life. You know what I mean?
You're touching upon a subject that I really like in terms of being able to be more good-natured, be a better person. You know what I mean?
Affect your circle.
Yeah, but you're also putting into it one thing that I really, really think is very beneficial if people learn about competition.
Okay.
You know, now
Hey,
it could be a cross-country race, and it could have been like no medals, no nothing. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Let's jump. Can we jump into your kids and jiu-jitsu real quick? Okay, okay. So I'm going to let you kind of talk about it, and I'm going to intro it. You tell me if anything's okay. You do jiu-jitsu, right? Mm-hmm. And both your daughter and your son both do jiu-jitsu?
My son is not going to do it yet. He's got about a year away.
So, but does he want to do it?
Yeah, like he stands on the mat and he wants to get on. Okay.
So I'm assuming kind of when you're talking competition and things like that, were you referencing that at all? Or is that kind of, so go through the process of like, were you doing it first? Were your kids doing it first? Go through the process of like, why did you want your daughter to do it? How she feels about it? Just talk about because I think I've told you before, I'm very fascinated about like getting kids into those kinds of sports. So I just want to know what your experience is for yourself and for your kids.
I'd been in martial arts prior to that, in boxing.
Okay.
So I wanted to do it selfishly for myself, but once I had kids.
Is that something you learned from your cousin?
He was a wrestler, real young.
But I mean, did you take that? You were talking about that people that you looked up to. Is there a certain level of like, you want that manly part, that whatever that kind of manly part is of you? So like you like these physical sports of boxing and stuff like that?
But prior to that, I always wanted to be able to defend myself.
Yeah.
You know, like
is that kind of like him though? Like that? Do you see what I'm saying?
He was the thing that I could see that was like, wow, that's scary as shit. Like that guy's strong, like really fucking early. He's one of those like, he was just a phenom.
He's one of those
kids. He grew
kids.
up and you tell him, you put a ball in his hand, doesn't matter what shape it is.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what sport. You know, if it isn't his sport, he's going to figure out a position to play and he will fucking dominate. And so it was really impressive.
Do you have feelings around that when you do jiu-jitsu? Do you like?
Yeah, but you know why? Because
anyway, so go back into it. Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's all good, but those are great. You're digging, bro. I like it.
I'm just asking questions.
Stuff, you know.
Hey, you I don't know what you know. That's why I'm asking questions. I only know what I know.
Well,
you know what I mean?
With the kids, I wanted them to pick up on something that would be able to give them a sense of being able to move well and have fun. And I know they're not going to teach to them in school, right?
It's crucial for their bones.
It's crucial for neurological development, spatial awareness, right? Little kids, and especially my little girl, wants to dance everywhere in the middle of the kitchen with like pans on, right? Like the heat, the stove is on, there's fire, you know, and she would like swing her hands around and hit herself on a pull on a drawer by herself and start crying and wailing. I'm like, you're having fun. I love it, but you're hurting yourself, you know? Right. So there's like this thing about, I think my son doesn't do this. My son will walk to the counter, crawl to the top, grab what he wants. He's 3. She's 6. She doesn't do that. Right. So there's like a certain.
Do you think it's like first kids, second kids?
I think it's male, female, man. And I try to push that so that it's not the case, so that they do whatever they want.
Okay. So I sent you a text. Did you see the text that I sent you that you didn't answer?
Which was,
is your daughter a daddy's girl? Like,
oh yeah.
Okay. So you tell me if this theory is true. Okay.
Well, we have to define daddy's girl first.
But I mean, like
yours and social.
What you mean, like creepy? Not like
no. Fuck.
What do you mean by dad? I mean, like she really enjoys spending time with you. She because y'all doing jujitsu.
To me, it seems
together,
like a dependency.
No, I don't know. I don't mean it like that. I mean that like, do you have a genuine curiosity? Like you're a guy.
Yeah.
So then you have your son. So there's this thing of like, I've done all this, right?
Nah, man.
But hang on.
Yeah.
But with a girl, you're like, I don't know anything about anything she's doing. I don't know. Like, I'm not a girl. I find myself just watching her and being fascinated by who she is and what she's doing, because I'm not a girl. And I think when it's a same sex, it's a different relationship than when it's an opposite sex.
I disagree.
Okay, so let's
In
hear
terms of the relationship, or at least the attempt to understand, right? Male or female, or whatever you want to call. I always look at being able to understand a person as that organism.
Okay.
I look at it biologically.
Okay.
And whether you want to place a sex on it or not, doesn't matter to me. What ends up happening is I feel like what I start to learn is how that organism likes to behave.
You pay attention. You listen. You watch.
I pay attention. Oh, do they breathe heavy? Do they sleep well? Do they get irritable quickly? Are they irritable when they don't eat? Or are they irritable when they get thirsty? Is it in the morning? Is it in the evening? Is it about certain subjects? Is it about certain things? Is it light? Is it sound? Right. And so I'm looking at it from a perspective of how do I connect to that person and the things that I also understand, that I like and dislike, or that I have a spectrum of understanding for. Right. So when my daughter was born and everyone wanted to buy her things that were very feminine, I said, yeah, fine, great, whatever. And there were more things that I wanted to take out of her human experience in terms of toxicity. We're talking about food. We're talking about plastics. We're talking about things that could affect endocrine systems. I was more concerned about the organism itself first. If it had a quality of feminine or masculine is secondary to me, right? Because at that point, then I said, okay, great. They're going to buy her all this female stuff. Fine. I'm going to get you a pair of Adidas sweatpants, sweatsuit. You're going to have stuff
And
that
you
you
can
can play
pick.
with daddy. Yeah. No, I'll buy it for her.
No, but I'm saying, like,
You can pick if you want, but
No,
it's going to
no,
be
no, I
black
didn't mean
when I
like-
buy it.
no,
It's going to be blue when I buy it.
no, that's not what I meant. Like, you can decide if you want to wear Adidas sweatpants. It's an option.
Right. Because I think it's all a matter of comfort anyway. If I bought a pink, green, blue, gray, if she was colorblind, I wouldn't know. Right. Until it was
Too
way
late.
later on.
Yeah.
But the fact is we want to be comfortable sometimes and sometimes we don't. You know?
Here's how I feel about it. Okay. Don't put ceilings, don't put roofs on your kids.
Constructs.
Don't decide who they are.
Right.
Because you're setting a ceiling. You're setting an ending point in which they will never be anything but what.
They're going to be what you think they are.
Right. Set bars. Go, here's a bar. Do you want to go above that bar? Here's a bar. Go above the next bar. Go above the next bar. Like, challenge your kids
Yeah.
to want to just be something,
I
do
don't even
something.
set bars. I just open doors. I'm like, here's a door, here's a door, here's a door.
I think we're saying the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But just don't decide who your kids are gonna be
Or who you want them to be.
or who you want them to be. Just
Come
let them be.
on.
Just, hey, you're gonna have way more fun just appreciating who they are than you will ever telling them who to be. Am I right?
Right. So, you talked about jujitsu is great. It's great. It's deep.
So we're
It's
back.
deep.
So we're back. Yeah, back to jujitsu.
So yeah, I wanted her to get involved in something that would help promote her competency, move, but also like as a female. Then I really started thinking about it. Like I was going to get in like 2 weeks later.
Mhm.
I knew I was going to go to jujitsu, and I was like, scheduling would be great if my daughter took jujitsu as well.
Mhm.
And she liked it. I'm not going to force her into it.
Right.
And then but the beginnings classes, they play so many games. They love to meet other new kids. There's more girls in the class that she was in starting than
No
there were
way.
boys. So it was great.
Yeah.
Right. And now there's still a bunch of them. And man, some of them are like the big boys try to dominate the girls with skills. And if I tell the girls with skills what to do with the bigger guys, they'll dominate. But I have to take this like approach. Like I can't just pick and choose. The parents are watching and I can't say to one or the other more than the other. But I know that the girl's got more skill because she's listening.
Yeah.
She's watching, she's doing. And this lug of a dude could like dominate her.
I mean, that's just an analogy for relationships right there. You know what I mean? The guy kind of thinking like, hey, it can be.
I can be
one
physical about.
or one person feeling like they know more than the other. Like you're like a team. Like everything should be on the same page. One person shouldn't know more than the other. Like, you know what I mean? It shouldn't be the imbalance of a relationship.
Well,
is
in
what I'm
this
saying.
case, maybe so, but I don't know if that analogy is going to work in the same in terms of physical ability.
Yeah, no. Yeah, sorry.
Like, and if that were the case, that would be the dumb jock and the nerd chick that knows how to handle a relationship and the dude can't.
Right.
Right. So I loved being able to take her in that scenario in any case. I got started up right after that.
Well, I just think that like, I think that, you know, and we've talked about this as friends. Like, I love what you're doing with your kids. Like, I was thinking about how long we've known each other. So let me back this up by saying, I was watching a documentary where Pharrell said, he goes, once you realize that really nothing's permanent, everything can change. Everything can change. Everything about your life can change. Mm-hmm. It can change. Bad, good, it can change though. But once you realize that, he's like, life's like a lot easier. And I started thinking about like how long I've known you, how things were in the beginning, how we trained back when we knew each other in the beginning, mm-hmm. the things you do now, the things you do with your clients, the things you know. Mm-hmm. Like I started thinking about just how much we've evolved as people.
Yeah, I love that.
Right. But like, I would assume on some level you embraced change, right? You have to.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. And so I think it's just, when I was thinking back on our relationship, it was just like this really cool thing of like, I'm always interested. We talk a lot of training kind of at the gym at different times, right? And just asking questions, have you seen this and all this kind of stuff. And, to have somebody that I work with that really kind of pushes me to think is rewarding for me. So thank you.
Yeah.
But I mean, like when we were young, I mean, there was just none of that. There was none of that kind of community sharing of information of like, hey, this is all ours. Let's just make everything better. Like young trainers are kind of they're like, I don't want to give you my secrets. And then you realize that the secrets that everybody knows, and stop acting like that. And then you're like, well, what new things can I find out? And I find myself being inspired to find out new things. All right,
for sure.
It. That's
the environment that we had back then, you're talking about like 20 trainers on the floor.
Right.
So, and you're talking about 300 people inside the gym all at one time, at least, interchanging every 30 minutes, every hour.
Right.
So even if we did try to create some type of dynamic, there's so many people.
Yeah.
It's so big. But I think internally amongst like 5, maybe 10 of us max, we did have like a subculture within the culture.
I mean, there was definitely
shared, some back and forth about what we were doing and who we were studying with, and even just how we were managing people that we were working with, And
I think
so that kind of,
I feel
a
like
little bit there, not as much as now.
Well, I feel like you tell me if this is wrong, because like I experienced kind of what you experienced maybe a couple years before you did. Sorry, I feel like I'm burnt. I came into that club and it kind of had a culture already. Like it was already like
I walked in way late.
No, but it wasn't late. It was just at a different time, right?
Yeah.
The culture was just different. Like I was already in that culture at that point, right? Mm-hmm. But that club had a culture of like, just kind of like, I mean, they were pretty open to take people in. They were pretty like, you know what I mean? But just don't act like a jerk. And just some people just didn't get it.
You also had to be really good.
Well, yeah, and there was a level of like
from the outside
be on point too.
Yeah.
And I think that healthy level of being kind of competitive and that kind of family atmosphere and stuff like that, it really shaped me as a trainer. Right. I would say, like I've worked at a lot of places, a lot of clubs, but that particular club and that experience, like when I walked into that, like that club was fixing to go through like a big shift and change. And like right before that, I mean, these guys were partying hard. I mean, just partying hard. And I was just like, what did I walk into?
That's the evolution.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then by the time you got there, it's like people still went out and did stuff, but it didn't feel nearly as like, because people had already left, certain people had bounced and, whatever. So
yeah. Well, I mean, that's a little bit of a tangent still based on the cross country kid that got picked up.
Yeah.
I view that as there's moments where I like those stories, right? People like those stories because they sound nice.
There's moments where you can do that.
Yeah, but like in some cases, man, I think it's gone so far right now, like people want to do that because they know, and I'm not saying people won't do that anyway.
But that's the wrong reason to do it, right?
No, not necessarily. I think it's contextual. But like if the kid was in a cross-country meet, right? Sure, he fell. He can't make it. But I'll tell you right now, if I'm in that cross-country meet and it means I'm going to win and I know the kid's going to be okay, I'm fucking going.
Hey,
like I'm not trying to get on the news. I'm not trying to get on Twitter. I'm not trying to get on Instagram. And I think that that's taking a big toll on like you said, there's a way to be able to do that and you don't have to get credit for it. It's not like that kid was looking for it, but it's almost like I think some cases people want to find meaning in what they're doing at the moment by picking that person up off the floor, even though it doesn't necessarily mean like it's going to change that person's life.
Right.
Right. Like it's a 15-year-old kid. I don't know if that's the case with this cross-country kid. He could have been 20, but I'll tell you right now, if you're 15 and I pick you up and it's not changing your life and you're 20 and you're still on the floor and I got to pick your ass up, bro, like I can't keep doing this.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying? Finish the fucking race. If you don't make it, you don't make it.
But
he's not dying.
Look, he was going to be fine, right?
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, no, but I respect both because look, when that guy picked that guy up, there was people running past him. Not everybody didn't stop. You know what I mean?
Why do they not follow the kids that were like, yeah, they just fucking kept trucking it, bro? You see that kid smashing? He got first. Didn't even look at the other kid. Just hanging out, doing nothing, talking about like I fell on a rock. Come on. I'm not trying to be fucked up. But it's a cute story.
But what I'm trying to say is that one, I just hope that guy, when he did that it was his internal gut instinct. There was no idea about him wanting to be on Twitter or want to be on it.
Of course.
Like if it came from that place, he did that was the right thing to do by him. You kept running and that's totally fine by you.
Okay. So let's talk environment. Okay. What environment are we in? An environment where something like that is
you're Forrest Gump.
No.
Lieutenant Dan. And Lieutenant Dan's like, pick me up. Are you going back in? Would you go back in to get Lieutenant Dan?
If Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and everybody else is watching you, you now have an observer. Which means that people are now acting differently than before.
Yes.
So my question is would that same kid have done the same thing back in 1996 when I was still listening to AOL dial tones? Hardwire, bro. I think that it's affected the way that people do things in public in circumstances where they might not otherwise do the exact same thing. It's a great story.
Yes.
But now you can do a nice little highlight. I picked the kid up and I carried him across. Come on, bro. Like if I'm not getting paid, you know what I'm saying? I would look, if it wouldn't have been on TikTok, it would have been on Instagram and it wouldn't have been on Facebook. You know what I really would have done? If he really fell down and I really didn't give a shit, I wouldn't fucking kick him. I would have sat down and I would have checked on him. I would have hung out with him right then and there. I would have gotten so I wouldn't have even finished the race.
Yeah.
If it mattered that much, I would have gotten someone to take care of him, a medic. I would have been like, my race doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Because the camera's not there. But because the camera's there, we have to do what?
Well, you can still do whatever you want.
But the point is we have to finish the race. Why? Because it's about the race. It's about getting to the end. It's about you and me getting to the end. If no one else was there and there was no camera and it really fucking mattered, he would have just gotten him help. I don't even finish the race. Why didn't you finish the race, mijo? Right? Well, I didn't finish the race because I helped Bobby or whatever his name is. And and his parents would have been like, that's how you become a good person. That's how you become not finishing the race, dragging people to the end of the line. I think that's a byproduct.
Look, I think we could crush semantics on how to handle the situation, but I think every situation really comes back to what are your intentions? What is the intent? Like you really have to think about the intentions of each one of your actions and what do you really mean by this, right? And so that's why I said, like, I hope that what he did was what he did. He helped the guy finish the race.
Of course.
But I hope his intention was the same way you feel about stopping to help him. Like to you, that's the best answer. To him, that's the best answer. But y'all's intentions would be the same, I feel like.
So let's go to mindset.
Okay.
If I fell on the floor and I can't finish the race, for damn sure nobody's picking me the fuck up.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to sit there. I'm going to take the loss. You going to carry me? Who the fuck am I to you?
So you're Lieutenant Dan.
You know what I'm saying?
But Lieutenant Dan was like bitching the whole time Forrest is carrying him out of the jungle.
Leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah. And he got mad at him but put his ice cream in the pea pan.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't carry me out. I don't need you. And if I lose, man. I mean, we're talking about.
Well, let me.
It's a good story.
Well, look. This is how we're gonna wrap it. We got to move on. But this is how this is gonna go. Okay.
Yeah.
If you look.
If I lose a race, leave me on the floor.
This is where this
Don't
comes.
pick me up.
No, look. This is. Well, hang on. This
Unless
is where this all comes back around. Okay.
Okay.
You're Lieutenant Dan, walking around in the parking garage downtown. Okay. And I said, "Hey, Lieutenant Dan, we're coming to get you.
Yeah.
Stay there. We're coming to get you." And you said that was, so maybe being resistant to the idea of like not letting someone help you in the time of failure or in the time of whatever that is, need.
Yeah.
Is not always the best thing to do.
Totally. Yeah, maybe. But here's how smart you were. You knew that if you told me that you were coming for me.
That's just old wise. That's just the old G shit right
that's
there.
Wisdom,
Yeah,
bro.
that's
that wisdom.
That's just,
I would have.
Yeah, I know.
I would have tried to figure out.
That's
to get
why
to
I
the
told
car.
Pat, like, hey, don't let
him
that cat.
leave.
Don't let him know we're not downtown. Just tell him we're right around the corner for 20 minutes.
That is need. Nobody was watching.
No.
Nothing.
No, I mean, this is probably the only time that I've really ever told that we told that story in a public
of course
way. Like,
and I
we
would tell
don't.
it like I could. Things change.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'll tell my story.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, God, like,
I like your pearls.
thanks, bro. I was very inspired by that Atlanta Braves player, even though he beat the Astros. And this podcast is going to be way in the next year. It'll be old news by then. But this guy in the World Series this past year was wearing pearls. I thought that was pretty dope.
Somebody asked me to
baseball
go.
player wearing pearls. That's crazy.
That's dope.
So, man, this has been fantastic. So how I usually like to wrap things up is just, and we kind of chat about this, and I always kind of say that the people I bring on, the reason I'm bringing them on is for these reasons, that I kind of feel like that I see something around that, and that everybody that seems to be successful has this. So like, and you've already talked about like, hey, I had to take time for myself so I could be 100% for the people around me. So what do you do to just create a good balance in your life? Like, I know you do yoga. Like, talk about like how you take care of yourself so that you can be the best version of yourself for everyone else.
Sleep well as much as I possibly can. I schedule 8 to 9 hours a night.
And you do the whole black out the room.
Man, I got red lights.
Noise.
I got red lights from Blue Blocks.
Yeah.
I don't make any money off of them in case you want to check them out.
Yeah.
So if you go upstairs in my house, everything looks red at night.
It's a special kind of red light, right?
Yeah, brother. It's so
and it
nice.
helps start to put you in that sleep mode. Is that correct?
Yeah. Get your brain ready to go to sleep.
Yeah.
We cut out all overhead lights.
What time do y'all turn those on?
Those are on by the time we get upstairs, 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
We put the kids and shower them, and and we get in bed, and I'm in bed by about 8:30. Even if I stay up for an hour, I've got a red light filter on my phone. I've got red lights inside the house. I chill out, try not to mess with any more work after that. If I need to, but it's seldom. I try to make sure that I schedule everything. I schedule my jujitsu. I schedule my workouts, schedule my work, my dates with my wife.
You
time
make
off.
time for all the things.
Yeah, man. I have to go like, this is what's important. Here's where I'm going to put it.
Right.
I told my wife, I was like, look, we're about to go for Thanksgiving. You know what happens when we leave for a week? My schedule gets tight. And I have to tell her ahead of time, I need your help.
Communication,
Yeah,
bro.
you have to, man. And it's not that I just need her help. It's that I need her to know that if I'm not around a lot, that it's not because I don't care. It's because I'm trying to do as much as I can
Right.
for us before we leave, so that for a week I don't have to do anything else.
Right.
You know, and I said that.
And did she get that? Like, I'm sure like sometimes it probably feels very like one-sided, but then once y'all get to like the place y'all are going to, she's like, oh, like, is she very appreciative?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, she gets it. I mean, it's hard to be in those moments and kind of just put yourself aside and go like, hey, I'm struggling here. And you go like, hey, well, I'm trying to do this too. And like, you got to make all that work, right?
Yeah. And even when she says she understands it, there's days where she'll be more emotional
about
and
it.
she needs me.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, even if it's just to pay attention to her for more than normal.
And I'm sure like you pay attention to that and you learn that and not that you watch her like in a creepy way, but you try to understand who she is to give her what she needs, right?
Got to, man. Even when I'd rather just, hey, look, if I just finish this, then I'll pay attention to you.
Right.
Right. It's like, they don't want that.
Right.
They don't want, you can't keep doing that forever.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, like, but it depending on what how you and your partner communicate, but you got to find, like, you can read all the books and do all the things. You can get a lot of great suggestions, but everybody's individual communication is probably slightly different. It's what makes it unique. It's what makes it your partnership. So listen to everybody, take everything in, like try to find your communication with that person. And so, you know, you could take bits and pieces of what we say or something like that, but like everybody's going to be, but you have found that with your wife, I'm assuming, right?
I've had to tell her that if I feel like she's either not listening to me or not paying attention to me or being aggressive, she's a very strong woman.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be like, you got to do this, and, you know, bossy, but she can also like run the show and I let her do it.
Yeah.
If she does that too much, I push away.
Yeah.
My tendency is to go like, look, I don't need to deal with this. I'll walk out the door.
Right.
Right. My dad walked out on me.
Yeah.
I learned it that way. And apparently that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Right. Do whatever you want.
Right.
But it's not, you know, but I have to know that internally, maybe that just got embedded into me really early on and go, look, my tendency is to push you away.
Yeah.
And right now that's what I feel like I'm doing. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I have to be honest with my default.
Well, your
That's
fault.
my,
You have to be honest with your fault.
Like I can't do this, but but in doing so, what I really want to do is I want to be a really kind person, but I can't be that person if you keep being so strong and so aggressive and you want to run the show all the time and tell me I can't do this and can't do that.
It has to be a balance.
It's got to be. And don't raise your voice. I don't raise my voice.
Right.
Right. And she's like, oh, okay. But it took time.
Yeah,
it took time to know that I wasn't trying to tell her to just be quiet.
Well, and I mean, you know, I don't know if there's really such a thing as too much communication. I don't even know if that's possible. Like listen to the person that's across from you. Like they're going to tell you everything you need to know, but you're too busy talking. You ain't going to learn anything. You know what you know. You don't know what they know.
Do you know the only time that it's good to say or to cut that off is when you're willing to just let the ego go and be like, okay.
Well, you don't want to get frustrated.
No.
Right.
But like, you gotta like submit to the fact that they're right. If they are.
Right.
Don't just keep.
Yeah. Don't keep fighting a battle that you know you're going to lose.
Yeah.
It's not, your ego's not worth it. Your relationship's not worth it.
No.
When I'm wrong, like I'm the first person to say I'm wrong. And if Aaron tells me I'm wrong about something and I don't think I am, I'm like, explain it to me. Explain to me how I'm wrong. Like, let me see if I can see it from your point of view.
Yeah.
And maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I have to see it. She's the one that feels wrong. I have to see it from her point of view. So the only way I can do that is by her telling me how she feels wronged and listen and then make a decision. Yeah, that's what I could see how she perceived it that way. Or I could see how that she felt that way around that. That wasn't my intention, but I'm sorry. Done.
Yeah.
Just don't be a dick. I mean, just don't let your ego, don't let your ego.
Don't keep trying to be right.
Your ego is not your amigo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, your ego's not your amigo.
I stole off a shirt.
That's good.
But the point is that like, it's not worth your relationship, and you'll actually be a better version of yourself by letting it go. You know, I would assume that the guy that I met so long ago, I mean, either you faked a big ego or you did have a big ego, right? And either it was protective or was kind of who you were. It was kind of maybe what you learned. But like, did I say that?
Man, I got a big ego, period.
Okay.
But
so
it's
I don't want to say
like,
I was saying out.
It's like a persona.
But it's like a superpower you know how to manage now. Like, that's the way I view you. I view you as like the ego almost got you in trouble before, but now you know how to hone who is Paul Anthony. Does that
You talked
accurate?
about environment and what it does to the person,
right?
right? Like it changes things.
Right.
And it had to change from where I was to where I am now to where I'm going to be 5 years from now. And it's not like, I don't think it's an intentional faking of anything. It's just we're adapting to the environment to get better at what we're doing.
Well, and
Right. And to be a better person in that scenario, perhaps.
But yeah, like, and definitely your environment's changed, right? Your dad, all the things, right? But like, if your life progresses and you do change environments, it's not very helpful to try to think about that you're in the old environment and try to be in the new environment, right? So I think a lot of people, they get into parenting and they're just like, holy shit, like, what did I get into? And you're like, well, I mean, did you not listen to anybody before you signed up?
Oh, they
Like,
don't. Yeah.
And nobody can really prepare you, but at the same time, the less ego, in my opinion, the less ego I have around my kid, it's much more fun, and I enjoy being with her much more. And like when I just go like, she's important, and I'm gonna make her important, not in a way that handicaps her, but in a way that she feels loved, right? And just put my ego aside of anything I would want. Like that's what I talk about, like the bars, not the roof. It's just it feels so much freeing, and I learn so much more, and I feel like our relationship is closer because I don't tell her anything that she has to do or be. I just don't want her to die, so I keep her from dying. You know?
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now it is.
Right now it is.
Yeah.
Have you read Dr. Gabor Mate?
Okay, this is your book recommendation?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so
it's
I have an unofficial book club that just comes up every once in a while. So what is the book, and who's the person, and then what's do the recommend hopeful thing.
Gabor, Gabor, Mate, I believe it's Mate, and I think it's Keeping Your Kids Close. I'll look up the exact title. But if you look him up, he's basically an individual that's been able to study. He used to take care of people that were addicts, but basically he looked at a lot of the problems that people have in terms of trauma that you've had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And where we get stuck in particular stages of development in terms of being able to love or care for other people. And many people stay stuck in the second and third stage,
Right.
you know, because we just kind of we're able to deal with love and affection, belonging, and a lot of us get stuck in that. I just want to belong. And I saw that a lot in myself, right? I wanted to belong to this group and that group. And when I didn't, I would kind of adapt and go to the next group, and, you know, where we kind of feel like we fit the best. And I think at one point, you know, we probably decided, you know what, I don't care if I don't fit with that group. Like I always thought this. And
well, you became your authentic self.
You know, you kind of just don't care anymore.
Well, I don't even know if it's a matter of caring. You're just like, it's exhausting. It's not worth it. And like, I live my life more free by being the best version of my authentic self. Like that's the most free you'll ever be in life, is to be the best version of yourself, the most authentic version of yourself. You'll never feel so free. It's pretty, you should be a pretty good person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't be a dickhead and be the authentic version of yourself. But like, if you're genuinely trying to do and be the best person you can be, and you're being your 100% self, I feel like it's a very freeing feeling.
Being in a community that will openly call you out on things the way you did when I met you, right? Even though it was kind of teasing back and forth, I think that we drive that out of people. And if that person is responsive enough, then they'll slowly start to go, okay, he is trying to be a little bit better. I remember that with you, you know, like little kind of back and forth, little teasing, like, hey, well, what's up with those pants? And what's up with this? And what's up with that? And I was like, you know, my retort at the time was like, they're just pants, bro. Who gives a fuck? You know? And you're just like, oh, okay, well, he likes them then.
Well, hey, I mean,
but it got past that, what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get past that and understand that maybe that person, that isn't all that is, right?
Well, and I think that's what I was kind of saying earlier. I think that was just strictly being like intimidated, like looking at a younger version of myself. You know what I mean? Like, you had the freedom to be your authentic self. I feel like, and maybe that was developing like over time, but I just didn't understand. Like, it was easier to take you down than it was to build you up. You know what I mean? Because I was scared.
It was easier to do because no one knew me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
yeah,
they don't know.
Be nice to strangers, not creepy ones, but, you know, ones that seem cool, you know? Well, man, did you have a good time?
Yeah. It was
Time,
good stuff.
it flies, doesn't it?
I have no idea how long it's been.
How long do you think it's been?
An hour.
Yeah, it's about an hour. I mean,
Okay.
that's pretty easy guess. Like I would end it in about an hour, but it went fast, right?
Yeah.
You could have done this for like another hour, right?
Yeah. You know, I mean, the focused part of doing it, you know, being able to converse and
Well, and
learn some things is
and
great.
the thing that like I don't know where my phone is, or like it's not on.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like we get to have like a conversation. I think people
This is great.
they underestimate the power of a conversation, like a real conversation, right? Just talk to people. Don't go in with opinions. Go in to learn something. I'll say it for the third time. You know what you know. Telling other people about what you know, you're not going to learn anything. You're only going to learn from asking questions of other people. And it's the most beneficial thing you could do, because then you just learn about people and you learn how to talk to people. You learn how to communicate. You learn what people are like. You learn what they don't like. You know, it's like human interaction. It's very important. It's very healthy.
That's good.
Old people force it on you all the time. They just say, they're like, hey, what's happening? Like, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, hey, Joe, how's it going? You know what I mean? So, all right, my dude. Well, I give everybody a hug when we get out.